and she's going to talk about just some of her research on the shareability of waterfront industrial heritage transformations using Suzhou Creek as an example. Thank you.
Hi everyone. So today I want to share my recent study of the waterfront industrial heritage along Suzhou Creek, Shanghai. In the past 20 years, post-industrial waterfront regeneration practice in Shanghai, such as Yangpu Riverfront, had shown the tendency to return the former productive waterfront space to public. However, that is really public to all. The transformation was planned as public functions, like museums or memorials or even some parks. But it's much more like static cultural relics open from 9 to 5 p.m. to people who planned to visit the place but had little exchange or response to the riverside public network or daily activities of nearby residents. Actually, it limited the publicness of the urban landscape. So here come to my research question. What is the nature of publicness of waterfront industrial heritage? And we proposed the 5 indicators of shareability, that the main purpose is to really encourage diverse activities with multiple users in the waterfront space. And the final challenge is to solve the gap between the authorized heritage discourses and everyday heritage practice. So we chose Suzhou Creek to start the research. It was historically one of Shanghai's most vital water routes, but in recent decades suffered from pollution and neglect. However, with the acceleration of the past urban development, the overall texture of the original industrial buildings, the working and living communities along the Suzhou River has been fragmented. The research area is from the intersection with Huangpu River to the mid-ring of Shanghai, around 16 kilometers long, and it goes through 5 administrative districts. We found 22 industrial heritage buildings on the north side and 43 on the south bank of the river. The waterfront industrial heritage protection and adaptive reuse dates back to a comprehensive river cleaning project in 1996. But the real turning point came in 1998 that Taiwanese architect Deng Kunyan renovated the warehouse in South Suzhou Road, which has won unprecedented attention and success. Numerous artists and creative workers gathered to the river. By the end of 2002, there were over 30 converted art warehouses in the Suzhou Creek area, housing more than 100 studios. Typical example is the M50. After that, more and more waterfront transformations happened. One exciting practice is the international competition in 2016 because of the merge of 2 municipal districts. For the first time, 12 kilometers prime waterfront in the center of Shanghai now unified. So before that, all the river side of the river belonged to some district, and on the south side is belong to another district. So that's why the river is not the center of the city, but actually served as the edge of 2 districts. And last year, a reconnection project led by the Shanghai municipal government has started, and that final goal is to make a 42 kilometers continuous public walkway along Suzhou Creek through the center of Shanghai. And the new tendency actually now is to involve reused industrial heritage into a new but giant commercial complex, like the Heswick Studio has done in Suzhou Creek. The name of the project is 1,000 Trees. The idea was to create 2 tree-covered mountains using the tops of the columns as large planters for thousands of trees and shrubs. So together with other 5 or more projects, this kind of giant new commercial complex is reshaping the urban landscape along the river. The image is inspiring and ambitious, but at the same time, the conflicts between the public and the private benefits keeps changeable. We started our research based on urban morphology study, as the urban form is really the key element that makes the waterfront industrial heritage unique from all others. In the urban design level, we divided 12 1 kilometers plus kilometers blocks, trying to find opportunities for recollections and links. We analyzed the layout of the 65 building heritage along the river and find at least 4 typical typologies in terms of the relationship between buildings and rivers. For example, for the warehouses, the layout shows a very long, giant, and high facade along the river, which served as a giant screen of the block and challenged to the connection between the river and the surrounding communities. The historic urban landscape method also gives us a guidance to trace the historic and cultural clues for community identity. For example, the warehouses together shaped the river space in 1930s, but today we don't have an integrated preservation or any landscape plan to retrace the identity of this kind of warehouses. Another example is the Great M50 area. The whole site was the birthplace of mirror industry of Shanghai in 1930s, but when we traced the transformation process in the last 20 years, we found that the fragmented fabric today is because of some economic drivers like the real estate, creative industry, but some are the need of riverside public space, and even under the name of architectural preservation. It is for public benefit, but actually it's limited the public needs. The aim of our research is how to make the waterfront industrial heritage as a shareable urban landscape in urban design perspectives. We are trying to lead a connection between the classical industrial waterfront method with the 5 elements of shareability. And then we are trying to find solutions in the urban design level. The neighborhood pattern and design guidance in lead neighborhood development give us enlightenment for that. Like for the warehouse typologies, we find the key element to make it shareable urban landscape is to promote accessibility and the diversity use of ground floor of the river. But for the greater M50 area, it is much more important to attract users in different ages, especially for the users from the nearby residents, and to create a welcoming linkage to guide the visitors from the inner communities to the riverfront. But the design for neighborhood pattern is important, but far more enough. A lot of key elements like design diverse events to attract vast users should be prepared in the programming process and the maintenance process. So we built a shareability scorecard to help with the design, which includes guidance in 6 parts, from the pre-design architectural programming to urban design, architecture and landscape infrastructure, and to the after-use maintenance, to assess the guide the design for waterfront industrial heritage. Given the current fragmented situations and multiple preservation landscape architectural plans in different administrative districts, we are not expect to create an integrated master plan, but by creating a shareability module, which could insert or be part of any other plan that for designers and planners to use. So the next stage for the research is to have 3 urban design as an example to applying these shareability indicators. But for now, it is we are choosing the 3 areas based on the 12 blocks. But now it is what I want to share for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's another fantastic presentation, so thank you. So our final speaker this morning is Bin Lee, and she's going to share with us a project she's been working on towards a light footprint, rethinking the urban transformation of a high mountain territory in China. Thanks.